Welcome everyone to your Super Brain call number one. We have an awesome call lined up for you today. And Jim, thank you so much for being here. I know this is the first week of your new book launch, Limitless. So that's really excited. Thank you so much for being here. And I know that a lot of the people in the community and the tribe actually ordered the book. So that's really exciting. And for today, we're going to go over Super Brain content and the pre-submitted questions that people have, as well as maybe some live questions. But I know that since so many people supported the book, maybe there's a couple things in the book that you would actually want to talk about that aren't in the quest,
Mhm.
and we may
Yeah,
be able to get to
so
that
let's
later.
save a little time at the end. I'll teach them new content that's not in Super Brain or Super Reading from the book. So that'll be fun.
Super cool. That sounds awesome. Well, let's get started. The first question comes from Fredel. It says, "Hi Jim, my question is regarding your morning routine, which
Okay.
sounds great and very powerful. I would love to try it, but how would you suggest to do it with three kids that depend on you to get up and ready for school?"
Okay. First of all, thank you. Thank you, Austin, for hosting this. Thank you to the Mind Valley team that's producing this. And thank you to our Mind Valley family of super brains. I think, positive. First of all, I just want to just check in with everybody and make sure everybody is safe and that you're well and whatever. I wish all that good stuff for you and that enough because we're living in crazy times right now. So I just wanted to say that I love you and I hope you are well and can attract good things. Let's talk about how we could control. We can't do much with the external environment, but we could do a lot with the internal environment. And part of what I want to talk about here is having consistency. While we're cocooning right now, and I really feel like this is a nice metaphor for everybody as you're physically distancing yourself, this metaphor of going through a transformation where we're going as a caterpillar into a cocoon, and then we hope to come out of this as best we can, as a butterfly, if you will. And one of the things that we could do by even doing there, I talk about 5 C's, but I'll give you, maybe a quick overview of it because it covers a bunch of your questions I saw. But a 6 C is consistency and having structure, because when you're at home and you're not used to being at home, because of we were physically distancing ourselves. Now, notice I use the word physically distance, not socially distant. Like right now, we're being social, and I think that's very important. Where we get into trouble is if we don't want to become socially distant from people. We don't want to be mentally distant from people. We don't want to be emotionally distant from people, and so stay connected. I think that's very important. Going back to morning routines, you learn in Super Brain like approximately 10, 12 different things that I do every morning to jumpstart my brain. And the question is, if you have 3 kids or other situation, can't do all of it. And I agree, you don't have to get it perfect. The goal is not to be perfect. Even if you could do 2 or 3 things on that list, that's better off than not doing anything on that list. Even when I'm talking about becoming limitless in this book, you'll notice that the tagline for the book is upgrade your brain, learn anything faster, unlock your exceptional life. In order to have an exceptional life, it doesn't have to be perfect. Limitless is not about being perfect. It's about progressing and advancing beyond what you currently believe is possible. So the goal is progress. So you don't have to do everything. And in fact, not everything works for everybody. I do believe certain foods, while they can be good for some people, it's not great for everybody, and so you want to make it individual and test what works for you. Some things have greater rewards for other people. Some people swear by a certain technique, and other people, they get good benefit, but not like that kind of benefit, and so use your kind of, you obviously use your sensory acuities to kind of feedback you get back. So the quick answer is this. I purposely designed that morning routine not to be time intensive, meaning when you wake up, the first thing I do is remember my dreams, and I keep my eyes shut. And for a few minutes, I'm just remembering my dreams. So it's not a lot of time. Making your bed at first thing in the morning because your brain likes cleanliness. You want to be able to start your day. How you do anything is how you do everything. You make it with excellence. I mean, how long does it take to make a bed? Right, when you're really thinking about it. When I'm talking about it's hydrating, to take a sip of a glass of water, because you lose a lot of water hydration through respiration and perspiration, and your brain is mostly water. We can lose a lot of it, while we're sleeping. And a dip in hydration, just staying hydrated, will boost your thinking speed and reaction speed 30%. So, how long does it take to drink a glass of water? So it's not time intensive, right? Even when I say brush your brush your teeth with the opposite hand, you're still going to brush your teeth. So you're just doing it with the opposite hands, right? When I'm taking a cold shower, you're still taking a shower. You're just taking a cold shower. And if anything, you're probably going to spend less time in the shower. So it'll save you time, right? And I say, work out for 3 minutes, get your heart rate going, but it's 3 minutes. So when you really total these things, I mean, you can't, obviously there's a trade-off, and I understand that we have a lot of things, going on, but, do the important things, the things that give you the best bang for your buck. And so what I'm saying is I purposely designed that morning routine not to be time intensive, and a lot of the things you're doing anyway. Just I'm challenging you to do it different. Instead of taking a warm shower, do cold, warm, cold, warm. Instead of brushing your teeth with your regular hand, choose the opposite hand. Little things like that, hydrating and so on.
Yeah, very cool. And actually, Mo Cooper, I don't know if you have a couple words on this, Jim. Mo Cooper asks in the chat, I religiously have my cold shower every morning and I love it now, but what is the purpose of it?
Yeah, great question. So I would say, and I could talk about this because there were a number of questions you and I were talking about beforehand about motivation and we'll get to that, why that has to do with cold shower. Cold shower is, for me, I met Wim Hof 7 years ago, and he's part of the Mindvalley community. Obviously, he's gone to events, and if you follow me on Instagram, I take these cold ice baths and literally ice baths. I'll go into full ice for 5 minutes myself. For me, it lowers inflammation in your body, and inflammation could lead to health challenges. For me, it actually is a big nervous system reset. It wakes me up and it resets me better than coffee or anything else like that. I also take a cold shower because I think it's very important to challenge yourself to do difficult things. Because how you do anything is how you do everything, and you could develop your grit muscles. And if you could find joy or you could find calmness in chaos, meaning that when you're in the cold and it's like, you feel like kind of crazy feeling, but if you can find calm in that translate when you get nervous speaking on stage or when you need to take a test and you have some test anxiety. So how can you find calm in chaos? And so those are just reasons why I do it. Wow, so much love here. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, this is excellent. And I love that. Like, eat the frog first thing in the morning, and then I love what you say. If you master the first hour of the day, then you can master the whole day.
Yeah,
Speaking
very
of
some positive momentum. So do the hard things.
Yeah. I love that. Speaking of momentum, our next question comes from Alicia. And Alicia is asking how to motivate yourself to stay on track and keep up with the program. I have a tendency to slip out and postpone. What would you say about that, Jim?
All right, so let's go into content that I didn't cover in the Super Brain Quest. This is about human motivation, and this is an important topic because so I'm going to refer to a book a number of times. You don't have to go buy the book, but I'm just going to give you some of the highlights to answer your question. There's something I call the limitless model. And it's the model to explain all accelerated learning, but not only that, it's a model for unlocking human potential. And it's composed of 3 different parts, 3 elements. So one of the elements is human motivation. And because I realized this book primarily was going to be a book 100% on methods, it doesn't go in as deep as Superbrain does in the methodologies because, spending all this time with you is much more deeper. That being said, the areas it does cover are this is more of a really good explanation of all the speed reading, focus program, memory program, all that in one place. But I realized I wanted to ask myself the question, will 100% of the people get the results? And the answer, honestly, when I was about to hand it to my publisher, it was no. So I took the book back. And one of the things I was missing was not addressing motivation. So let's talk about motivation. There's a formula for human motivation that I've discovered over the past 28 years of field testing this. And here's the thing about motivation. People believe that in order to be motivated about something, you have to enjoy that activity. And it's not true. And so in the book, I debunk and demystify a lot of what I call lies. lies, a limited idea entertained, limited idea entertained. And a lie could be like, oh, I'm not smart enough. That's not necessarily true, or I'm too stupid, I'm too old, or whatever it is. I have a horrible memory. It's just a limited idea that we choose to entertain. And one of the lies around motivation is that you have to enjoy that thing. Now, I have a friend who wakes up at 4:30 every single morning. He's highly motivated to wake up at 4:30. And what does he do? He works out. And I was interested in this. So I was asking him, questions. I was like, do you enjoy waking up early in the morning like that? And he was like, no. I'm like, oh, that's okay. But well, then obviously you're waking up so you could work out and you get a lot of joy out of that. He was like, no, I hate working out even more than waking up early. I'm like, okay, that's weird. But do you ever miss a day? He was like, no, absolutely not. So this person's very motivated, but a lie is that you have to enjoy that thing. Now, I always prefer bring joy to an activity. I always choose to have fun or make it as enjoyable as possible. But here's the lesson here. Like when I was talking about, I take cold showers every morning or an ice bath every single morning for 7 years. I don't enjoy the cold. The truth is I don't enjoy the cold. I grew up in the Northeast in a very cold environment. I don't enjoy the cold, but I'm very motivated to do it because I have the reasons to do it. So the formula to overcome procrastination is a 3-step formula that I teach in this book. And there's a whole, this is like 3 books in one, but there's a whole book area of motivation. And it's P times E times S3. P times E times S3. And what I did was I was saying, okay, if we were going to build the ultimate motivated human being, because how many of you honestly bought this program and didn't finish it yet? How many of you have done that or have done that with anything? A lot of us have done that, right? And one of the lies is knowledge is power. And that's not true. You could buy all these books, all the books, podcasts, quests in the world, they don't work unless you work. And that's not what people tell you, but that's the truth. It doesn't work unless you work it, right? Because you have to do your part. Because if it was just easy, everybody would have results with everything, right? And we can't be upset by the results we didn't get by the work we didn't do. And that's me talking to you as a coach, not what you want to hear, but what you really need to hear. And I say that with kindness because I care about you. And so we want to demystify that. Now, let's play a game right now. Let's say we want to build the ultimate motivated human being. All right. We're going to do a thought experiment. The first thing is P. They need purpose. All right. P times E times S3. The P is purpose. Purpose, not your life purpose, although I write about it a lot in the book, How to Find Your Life Purpose. I'm saying you need a reason to do that thing. You need a reason to work out every single morning. And it can't be intellectually, it can't be intellectual. You have to feel it. All right. And so you have to feel the purpose. And I would also challenge you to feel not only the rewards of what comes from doing that activity, like following through with Superbrain. Like think about, oh my goodness, I'm going to be an expert in my field, like so much faster. I'm going to save so much time. I'm going to be able to make more money because I have this Superbrain. I'm going to be able to do, learn all these other subjects and be able to support my kids. Like feel it, but also feel the consequence of not following through. Who are you disappointing? Who's counting on you to be on your A game and for you to be a good example for? Who's counting on you to be able to show up and allow yourself to feel that pain? Like I have an acquaintance who would not change their diet for anything. And they had they were smoking, they didn't exercise, it's really bad, less than optimal lifestyle. And eventually had a heart attack, almost died, had triple bypass surgery, came out of it, went back to his normal lifestyle. I was like, wow. And then I found out, I was like, okay, good luck with that. And then I found out years later, I saw him. I was like, wow, this guy, he looks amazing, right? And I was like, whoa, what happened? He was like, oh, I started to eat this, started to exercise this, stopped smoking it. I was like, I'm curious why, because I was, wanting to find why, motivation. Why'd you do it? And he said, like, honestly, my daughter came up to me one day and was crying. And he asked her why. She's like, I want you to be around to be your grandfather to my children. I want you to walk me down the aisle at my wedding. And it just like, he felt it and then he changed. So I'm saying purpose, you need to allow yourself to feel the reasons, because if you can't feel the reasons, maybe you shouldn't be doing X anyway. All right. So my thing here is just feel the reasons. Now my mind went, okay, if you have purpose, is that person always motivated if they can feel the reasons and the rewards and the consequence of not doing it? And I was like, no, you need E. You need E. E stands for energy, because let's say you want to work out or let's say you want to finish the quest, right? But you have you have a newborn and you haven't slept in 3 nights. you're going to have a dip in motivation because you're not going to have the energy. Does that make sense? And so let's say you want to go through the quest today, but you ate a big processed meal, a lot of junk food. And I don't think junk food is one thing. I think there's junk and there's food, so it's two separate things. I don't know what junk food is, but let's say you ate a big processed meal and you have like a food coma, and you might have challenge to follow through with the quest because you have no energy. So first, feel the purpose and the rewards that come from it, or the consequences of not doing it. And then allow yourself to have energy. And then the last thing is I said, okay, let's think about this. What's missing? You get purpose and energy. Are you always going to be motivated to do anything? And I said, no, you need S3, a small, simple step. Because a lot of people do not follow through because that thing in their mind is too big. They want to meet their soulmate and live happily ever after. Way too big, right? They want to have the perfect physique. Way too big. They want to create $1 million online brand. Way too big. Small, simple step. Ask yourself this question. What is the tiniest action I could take to make progress towards this goal? So maybe if it's working out, maybe it's not working out 45 minutes that day. Maybe it's putting on your running shoes. Maybe it's not, maybe you want to read 45 minutes a day. That's too big. Maybe it's your small, simple step, opening up the book, reading one line. Maybe for the question, it's just simply, turning on your device, and that's it. This one small step, because inch by inch, it's a cinch, yard by yard, it's too hard. And I hope that's helpful in terms of understanding your own motivation for anything.
Wow, super powerful. Yeah, I'm so happy for the people who are joining this call live, because that explanation is worth its weight in gold. I know a lot of people struggle with motivation worldwide. So thank you for that, Jim.
Thank you.
The next question we have is something I think a lot of people also can relate to. I know I can. It's from Avner. And Avner says, many times while speaking, all of a sudden a word I was going to say evaporates. I have it in my mind and it's gone the moment I wanted to use it. Do you have a method to deal with this phenomena?
Yeah. I mean, how many of you have had something on the tip of your tongue? You just kind of can't get it out. You knew it a moment ago, but you were going to say it. And for some reason you lost that thing. 3 really quick tips that you could do if you feel like you're going to say something, it doesn't come to you. Now, by the way, Super Brain Quest will help you with that because it'll make you more mentally fit. And we have so many testimonials from people. If you've seen the stories, by the way, the Mindvalley stories for the Super Brain Quest, hundreds upon hundreds of you have added your story, and it's inspiring. I think everybody should submit one, and also if they have access to it, to read those. But they've just had me in tears, positive tears. A few things you could do besides being mentally fit, because that will happen less and less as you develop your memory through this program, because it's just like when people are getting physically fit, they perform better even when they're not using a technique. Same thing with mentally fit. I also apologize if you hear a siren. I happen to be in New York City right now, so it's an interesting place to be. A few things you could do to be able to pull that information out. One is return to the environment that you had that idea in, because information gets stored and triggered by our environment. They've done multiple studies where you study in an environment, and then if you take the test in that environment, you do better than if you took the test outside of that environment. Same goes to if you had to give a presentation, study in that place where you had to present. They've done studies where they put people underwater, have them memorize things, take them out of water. They don't remember as much, put them back in water, they remember more. So one of the things is to remember what you were going to say, go back in the environment that you originally had the idea. Next, see if you can't, along the same lines, recreate the stimulus or the trigger you had for the idea. And what does that mean? Go back and kind of think about what triggered that initial idea. And that's really like the third step, is really thinking back through the topics that led you to that train of thought. But your goal is to go through your memory and play it back as a movie. And again, go into context. So the context sometimes gives you the content. It's like when you forget someone's name and you ask yourself, oh, where do I know them from? And then you get the context, or you get the environment, and the environment helps stimulate the content.
The next question is from Benjamin. And Benjamin says, I have trouble remembering very basic things when I get stressed. Are there any techniques which you use or could recommend for remembering things in stressful situations, like a job interview?
Yeah, that's a big one. Okay, so we know that chronic stress wreaks havoc on your brain. It actually makes your brain smaller. So chronic stress actually shrinks your brain. And when you're in stressed, your amygdala gets hijacked, and you create cortisol, you create adrenaline, and that's your fight or flight or freeze kind of place. And that's not really useful. Maybe that's useful in physical, if you're being attacked, but if you're not really threatened and you're in a stressful state, it's really not a great place to study or go on a job interview or to be able to present. And that's a big challenge. Thinking about that on what we're talking about here, one of the things that reduces stress obviously is meditation. And we had a number of questions people asking about meditation. So I do practice a mindfulness practice and a meditation practice and a manifesting process also as well. What I would say is what would help lower everybody's stress is to reduce the amount of time you spend watching the news. I'll just put that out there because, again, chronic stress shrinks your brain. And it's fine to know what's going on in the world. That's okay. But it's not just physical hygiene you need to be practicing. We know we should be practicing physical hygiene, washing our hands 6 feet, just sanitizing everything. But mental hygiene is so important right now. Taking care of your mental hygiene. And part of taking care of your mental hygiene is what you're feeding your brain. And your brain has an algorithm. And so if you're just reading, like if you're just in social media and you just engage with all the dog posts, Instagram or Facebook's going to show you a lot more dogs because there's an algorithm. Well, there's an algorithm to your mind too. So if you just watch everything that's dark on the news, what's going to happen is you're training your brain, that algorithm, and it's going to start feeding you more and more things that are threatening and dark. And the challenge is you're not going to be focusing on things that could be light, gratitude, possibility. Just to hear that again as a reminder for yourself. And so one of the best ways to be able to hack, get from that sympathetic mode and that parasympathetic mode, one of the best ways is a number of ideas is to get present. I find that a good presencing exercise is to point out, acknowledge 3 things that you see, 3 things that you hear, 3 things that you feel, or maybe 3 things that you smell. Very, very quick. Just point out 3 things that you see in the environment, 3 things that you hear in the environment, 3 things that you feel. Like you could feel like what you're sitting on or the clothes or this, and then it gets you present in the moment. What also helps reduce stress, besides turning off all the stressors that are out there, is your thoughts, meaning that the questions that you ask yourself. And some people ask questions that make them stress all the time. And you've heard me talk about your dominant question. And what if you could ask a question like, how can I study this and enjoy the process? How can I, and just that enjoyment thing, like, I talk about Will Smith and his technique, he did the cover blurb for the book. I think Jim Quick knows how to get the maximum me as a human being, but his magic question literally is, how do I make this moment even more magical? And he's always thinking about that. So what's the question that you could ask to get yourself out of stress and also enjoy the process? So part of it is like, how can I be more playful in this? How can I enjoy it more? How can I do this? And your brain starts to focus on that instead of where it's going in terms of what could potentially harm you. Another thing besides the power of your questions is also your visualization. A lot of people are rehearsing over and over again the negative consequences of not performing, like of looking bad or not getting the job or forgetting what you need to say on stage. And every single time you rehearse that image, you're getting better at that. You're reviewing it and you're practicing it because the mind doesn't know the difference between something you vividly imagine and something that's real. So I would say control your breath, control your presence by focusing on the things that are present. I would say control the questions that you're asking and control the images inside your mind and really review. If you're going to imagine something, imagine yourself successfully accomplishing it, because they say that a coward dies 1,000 deaths, a hero dies only 1, because that coward, and we all have the habit of doing this, rehearses failure over and over and over again, and they get better at it. That's why it becomes self-fulfilling. So, but yeah, definitely use breath, meditation, body work, anything that you could do to lower stress in the moment.
Wow. And that's very important, especially during a time like this, Jim. I'm glad you brought that up, to like distance yourself from the news and all the gloom that happens on social media. Actually, we were on a WildFit call last night, and Eric Edmonds was saying the same thing. Like, distance yourself. A lot of news causes stress, which also causes lots of different chain reactions.
Can I
Thanks for that.
answer Sarah's question real quick?
Absolutely.
um, the um, the reason why I put limitless and I wear brain shirts all the time where I point to my head. The question is, could you please put some of your great T-shirts on limitless and have it, available for people to buy? The website is shop.jimquick.com, shop.jimquick.com. And the reason why I do it, and again, we're giving 100% of the proceeds to this book, 100% to charity, to build schools we build schools everywhere for girls and boys, from everywhere from Kenya to Guatemala, and healthcare and clean water. So same thing with the shirts. So, but the reason why I wear this, oh, thank you, Austin, appreciate it. The reason why I do it is because what you see, you take care of, right? You see your hair, you take care of your hair. You see your skin, you take care of your skin. You see your clothing, you take care of clothing. You see your car, whatever. But you don't see the most important thing, which is your brain, right? You can't see it on the inside, but yet it is the most important thing because it controls everything. So I always wear a brain on my chest. Like people wear their emotions on their sleeve. I wear my brain on my chest because I want you to remember to love your brain, to care for your brain. When I point to my head like this, you see me in pictures, and I've met many of you at various events, Mind Valley University, Mind Valley Live, A-Fest, and we're always pointing like this because it's like, hey, just remember this, be mindful of your mind. And so that would be it. Go giver is awesome. I love that word. For me, I love the word grow giver. Back in the 80s, there were go-getters. They're just getting and taking. And then you had these people giving and giving, but then they become martyrs because they don't have enough. I say grow so you can give. Grow, give, grow giver. I love this chat here. It's awesome.
Yeah, this is really cool. And I love the live aspect about that. So again, that is shop.jimquick.com if you want to.
Where do you get the book to support your group? It is limitlessbook.com. And you could go there. And the benefit is if you do that today, we're going to do a live on Monday, and we're going to do a Star Wars day because so anyone who gets the book, whereas on the book in that limitlessbook.com, we are going to do a 90-minute live because it's Star Wars day. And I'm going to show you how to unlock Jedi's powers from the book. And we also do a 4-week book club later in May. And so after everyone gets the book, we're going to do 1 week per section because we take you on the hero's journey. And there's 4 major stages of going through the hero's journey. And we're going to spend 1 week on each. And that's going to be my gift to you for just purchasing the book at limitlessbook.com. And there's links to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, everywhere. So that's it. Sally Star Wars Day after my time is sleeping. We will record it for sure.
I love it. Changing lives and having fun doing it. Awesome, Jim. So the next question comes from Ryo. And I noticed there were a couple questions that came in about people being in med school and studying their postgraduate degrees. So Ryo is asking, what's the best advice for college students to study more effectively?
Yeah, and so a lot of techniques in Superbrain absolutely apply. You remember, everything that we teach, everything like the Pomodoro technique, everything from using the word substitution or PI, having a place, imagining and entwining. The location method is fabulous for those who use the memory palace to store information in places that you're familiar with. Couple things to think about is little things like the music you have in the background. If you're studying very technical information, it helps to have classical music in the background, specifically Baroque classical music. It's 60 beats per minute, and that harmonizes with the resting heart rate and gets you out of stress. And it helps to put you in that alpha state of awareness where you start absorbing information better. And so with the music you have, also setting up a great learning environment. Because people don't realize this, but even the lighting makes a difference. When you use in most offices and schools, they use the really poor fluorescent lighting. You know why? Because it's cheap. But they've shown animals and mice underneath that lighting, and it's not the healthiest, most powerful thing. But then I was also remember when you're studying a technical material to not cram. Take every 25 to 30 minutes, take a break. Because after that, you start having a dip in concentration and focus and a brain break, maybe 5 minutes to do 3 things again. Hydrate, like you've seen me do 4 times already. Also, deep breathing, because a lot of people when they're studying, when they're reading something, they're slumped over. and they're collapsing their diaphragm, and the lower 1/3 of your lungs absorbs 2/3 of the oxygen. So it's very important to so your brain is only 2% of your body mass, but it requires 20% of the nutrients in the air. And then lastly, I would use that time not only to hydrate and to breathe, because that creates a lot of brain fog if you're not breathing. And remember, a dip in hydrate, just staying hydrated will boost your thinking speed and reaction time 30%, is to move. Is to move. And it sounds silly, but as your body moves, your brain grooves. When your body moves, you are more creative. That's why Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, all the interviews, they do walking meetings and they come up with their best ideas. And when you move, you create brain-derived neurotropic factors, which is like fertilizer for your brain, and it helps you create new connections, neuroplasticity. And so music, lighting, movement, breathing, hydration, and then I would say that tip that I give in Superbrain, smells. There's certain smells that help activate your brain. Things like peppermint and rosemary is supposed to be good. Rosemary is supposed to be good for your memory. But specifically, though, when I was talking about linking environments to stuff, the smell is the fastest way to get access of memory. Because probably as hunter and gatherer, you need to know if something was spoiled or poisoned or something like that to be able to protect you. And so we link smells to memories. And I would say, as you're studying something, have a unique smell or fragrance, a lip balm, essential oil, a unique one. And then when you need to perform it in a test or on stage or whatever, then have that same smell accessible, and then it'll help bring back the memories also as well. So I know, I'm trying to give you like 5 minutes of brain tips as quickly as possible as we get to other questions, but try any of those and it'll super support you.
Chat is.
Can I address Sam here real quick? Says,
Absolutely.
how can we have consistency in whatever we do? Many times we work on something which has pretty long time to achieve. So in this process, we often lose consistency. How can we overcome it? Can I read one quick passage from the book? Yeah, this is cool. There's no audiobook, so this is like this is kind of interesting. This is no audiobook for the book, because I really do believe reading is to your mind what exercise is to your body. And by the way, when people listen to audios, and I have one of the top podcasts out there, and I like audio, but the thing is, when people are tested, versus reading it versus listening to it, they have better comprehension and retention of what they read. And usually, because when people are listening to audio, they're doing something else. They're driving or they're working out or they're cleaning, and the focus is not on it. And when you're reading, you're not trying to drive or clean or do anything else like that. So number one, your attention's on it. Secondly, also though, reading is very active. I talk about the power of being active when you read, and when you learn. But sometimes when you listen, your mind, it's like watching TV. It's much more of a passive experience. So I'm a much bigger reader. With that being said, let's talk about consistency, everybody. In this book, I talk about the 7 lies to learning, and in the mindset section, and I'll explain the limitless model in a little bit because it'll change your life. That's why I wrote this book. But in the mindset, along in your mindset, are these lies, these 7 lies to learning that globally people accept, and so I go through and I help you to dissolve those lies and install new empowering beliefs. A lie for me, again, is a limited idea entertained. That's what it stands for. It's BS. They're belief systems. All right. So one of the lies is that genius is born. People think that genius is just born. Someone's born naturally to be that amazing athlete or to make all that money, or someone's just born with that incredible memory, or someone's just born, tech savvy or whatever it is. Let me talk about the power of consistency to answer your question, because I believe if you're persistent, you could achieve it, but if you're consistent, you could keep it. Right? There's a big difference between something that's attainable and sustainable. Right? So consistency is key. Let me give you an example. I'm going to read a little story. This is like me reading on audiobook. So pretend you're our audiobook. You're in the studio with me. All right. You can hear me okay? Good, awesome. All right. A king was watching a great magician perform his act. The crowd was enthralled, and so was the king. At the end, the audience roared with approval, and the king said, "What a gift this man has, a God-given talent." But a wise counselor said to the king, "My lord, genius is built, not born. This magician's skill is the result of discipline and practice. These talents have been learned and honed over time with determination and consistency. The king was troubled by this message. The counselor's challenge had spoiled his pleasure in the magician's arts. Limited and spiteful man, how dare you criticize a true genius? As I said, you either have it or you don't, and you most certainly don't. The king turned to his bodyguard and said, "Throw this man into the deepest dungeon." And he added, for the counselor's benefit, "So you won't be lonely. You can have two of your kind to keep you company. You shall have two piglets as cellmates." From the very first day of his imprisonment, the wise counselor practiced running up the steps of his cell to the prison door, carrying in each hand a piglet. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the piglet steadily grew into sturdy boars. And with every day of consistent practice, the wise counselor increased his power and strength. One day, the king remembered the wise counselor and was curious to see how imprisonment had humbled him. He had the wise counselor summoned. When the prisoner appeared, he was a man of powerful physique, carrying a boar on each arm. The king exclaimed, "What a gift this man has, a God-given talent." The wise counselor replied, "My lord, genius is built, not born. My skill is the result of discipline and practice. These talents have been learned and honed over time with determination and consistency." So when I talk about consistency, which was a great segue into this, I believe that, I post this all the time on Instagram. I say, "Hi, my name is Consistency. You might know my friend Greatness and Success. We hang out a lot together." And consistency is absolutely extremely important, because little by little, a little becomes a lot. And I rather have somebody do a little bit each day than spend one day and just like cram everything inside your mind, because the brain rather learn the opposite way. And quests have proven that over and over and over again. So I would say, through that story, little by little, a little becomes a lot. Consistency compounds. And so make it a priority. And the best thing, the way of doing that, is to schedule it. If you don't schedule it, it won't happen. Schedule your quests. When are you going to do this 10, 15, 20-minute session? Make sure that's time for you, time well spent, and you don't distract yourself. You just focus on that one thing. Remember we talked about small, simple steps, right? Little by little. Schedule my reading time for Limitless. Yes, you do, Leo.
That's awesome. Leo is also an ambassador for Lifebook, which is exciting. I'm glad to see Leo here. Nice.
I love the butchers. They're amazing.
And I love that Jim's over here dropping exclusive content. If you're on this call, you're getting stuff that's never before been created. This is great. Okay, Jim, the next question is about the subconscious. How can I access my subconscious and remember forgotten things? From Rui.
Okay, how can you access your subconscious? Now, when we introduce a number of concepts in the book, everything from tapping, emotional freedom technique, EFT, to self-hypnosis. And the idea here is when you get into an alpha state, you have more ability, you become very suggestible. And here's something you don't want to do when you're in that state is pick up your phone, because remember, when you first wake up, don't touch your phone the first half an hour a day. I'm just going to remind you, special public service announcement, because you're in an alpha state and you're very suggestible and you're training your brain to be distracted and reactive. So don't do that. How can you access your subconscious to be able to remember things better? Well, first of all, what puts you into an alpha state, if you want to be more do some self-hypnosis, or let's say unconscious work of yourself, what puts you in alpha state is visualization. That's why a good meditation will you have visualize someone hypnotherapist, and you could talk to a licensed hypnotherapist. I am not one, but a hypnotherapist will walk you through, a waterfall or going down an escalator. Visualization helps you get into an alpha brainwave state, which makes you more suggestible to new ideas. Like, you have a great memory. You learn things easily and effortlessly, right? And so you make learning fun. You remember the things that you want to remember, and you're more likely in that alpha state. In the beta state, your critic is there, and you could filter it. You're like, no, that's not true, and you could fight it. But in that alpha state, you're not going to. What also puts you in alpha state besides visualization, rhythmic breathing? All right, that's why when the hypnotherapist works with you, or you're doing meditation, you do like the box breathing, or you take a deep breath, and you exhale and you breathe, and it puts you in the parasympathetic, more alpha state. What also puts you in alpha state is certain music. That's why nature music or classical music could put you in alpha state. It makes you more suggestible, and then you could have a recorder feed you positive affirmations for your memory. You recall the things that you need to recall. You recall them easily and instantly. Your memory is amazing. You have a super brain. And in your conscious mind, like in your beta right now, listening to me, you might be like, no, that's not true. And come up with all ideas like, but when you are in a relaxed state, when you are breathing and listening to calming music and you're visualizing, you're more suggestible. All right. And that's how hypnotherapy works, because they'll take somebody who's a procrastinator and say, you focus and you do the most important thing. You love taking action, and you give those suggestions. Now, another thing I could suggest is to implant before you go to bed. We talked about your morning routine. I'd rarely talk about my nighttime routine, but one of the things I do besides optimizing my sleep, the last hour of the day, is I give myself a suggestion. Because again, that space right before you go to sleep, you're highly suggestible, and you're training your brain to work on it throughout the night. That that your brain is one of the lies, LIE and mindset is limited idea entertain, is that you only use 10% of your brain, or use 20% of your brain. And that's absolutely false. You use all your brain. Did you know that? And it's just like you use all your body. Your brain is part of your body, and everybody uses all of their body for the most part, right? It's just that when that body is challenged, like you have to hike up a mountain or a big hill, some people do it who are really fit, and they have good posture and good technique. They can do it very efficiently and very with ease. Whereas somebody who might not be in that place, it takes a lot of effort and energy, but they're still using both people are still using all their body, right? But some people are just trained. That's the idea with mental fitness. That's the idea with memory fitness. And that's the idea of having strategies to make it easier for you. Going back to this, your brain is working all through the day, and it also works at night. And what is it doing? Consolidating short to long-term memory. What is it doing? Cleaning plaque out of your brain that leads to Alzheimer's. But you're also dreaming. And we talk about how to remember your dreams. But did you know, like all these inventions I talk about in Superbrain Quest, Frankenstein was created in Mary Shelley's dream. Paul McCartney came with the song Yesterday in his dream. The periodic table came to a chemist in his dream. So what you could do is, how many of you by show of yeses have to occasionally you set the alarm and it's a different time, and you kind of like obsess about it the night before, like, oh, I have a flight to catch, I have to get up at 4:30 to do this or whatever. How many of you have set that in your mind, and then you wake up like minutes or within a minute of that time? Look how many yeses here. Isn't that amazing? That's the power of your mind. What if you harness that power every night, instead of just trying to wake up at 5 o'clock and you wake up exactly 5 o'clock? What if you gave your mind a suggestion, like, whatever you want to do? I want to be able to remember this memory, because the question happened to do with memory, or I want to be able to solve this problem, and have your mind focus on that, just like it focuses on trying to wake up at a specific time, right? Like that's kind of, I've been able compared to really the potential of your brain. And so I would suggest that's another way. So besides using alpha breathing, visualization, good, classical music and everything to give yourself suggestions, try giving yourself the suggestion of the thing that you want to solve the most right before you go to bed. And don't obsess about it. Ask yourself a couple of times and then release it, surrender it, right?
Oh, that's amazing. And you saw the chat if you're on this live call, like, yes, everybody. That is, that's such a great observation.
You have hundreds of people watching this live. That's amazing. I love you.
Yeah, we have
you guys
almost 300 people here.
I know, it's crazy. It's amazing. I would love to actually go through the Limitless model really quick, because I feel like this will serve every single person who's watching this right now. And if you've heard me explain the Limitless model, or you have Limitless, the book, just these are what keeps you from mastery is saying that I know this already. And the people who really excel, and trust me, this is 28 years of working with people and field tested, are the people who get really good at the fundamentals. They get excited about the basics. So I'm going to share with you right now just a 3-part framework on how to become limitless. And this you could apply towards accelerated learning. You could apply this towards anything in your life. So let's make this, I'm going to apply it towards learning, but think about any area of your life where you feel stuck. All right. Remember, I said limitless is not about being perfect. It's about progressing and advancing beyond what you believe is possible. So I want you to think about an area of your life where you're not making progress. It could be your reading speed. It could be your memory. It could be, your study, or it could be your relationship. It could be your career. It could be your physical health. Where do you feel like you're in a box? When I got called, I had my brain injury and the teacher said, that's the boy with the broken brain. That label became my limit. It put me in that box because I wasn't born with that belief. When you're born, you're a blank slate. You learn poor methods of memorization. You learn those, negative labels, right? And so you can unlearn them too. But where do you feel like you're in a box? And you don't have to post it here publicly, but just get a sense, because I want to make this powerful for you, because this will change the way you look at things, all right, for yourself and other people. So think about an area you're not making progress, even though you're trying, right? What keeps you in that box, there are 3 dimensions, right? 3-dimensional box. The 3 dimensions that keep you in that box are the 3 forces that keep you there, and I'm going to talk about that make up this framework. They're also the same 3 forces that will liberate you and get you out of that box. So I want everybody to draw 3 circles on a piece of paper, and it's a Venn diagram, so they intersect. I'm going to ask you to take notes. I just was reading more about the research about physically taking notes as opposed to digitally. People who physically take notes will have better understanding and retention than people who digital. Now, I like digital notes because you can store them better and you can share them better. But if you can handwrite this, that would be amazing. So 3 circles looks like Mickey Mouse. All right, 3 circles looks like Mickey Mouse right here. All right, so you have 3 circles, and now this is the limitless model. I'm going to go through it very quickly, but you're going to understand this because you have a super brain. Now, the first circle, now this is what keeps you stuck, what keeps you limited. The first circle is your mindset. Your mindset is this. It's your assumptions and attitudes about something. Your mindset is your assumptions and attitudes about the world, right? About the world, how it works, about economics. It could be about health. Your mindset is, what falls underneath your mindset? What you believe is possible. What falls inside that circle? What you believe you're capable of. And now those could be 2 different things. You could believe, oh, Jim can memorize 100 people's names from stage. I've seen him do it at these events, but you might not believe you're capable of it, right? Or what you believe you deserve could also be in that box. So there's 3 M's, 3 circles. The first one is mindset. I'm going to tell you the last one is methods. These are the methods. These are the methods you're learning in Superbrain. All right. The methods that I teach in the book, right? But I could teach you a method in Superbrain on how to remember names or how to learn another language. But if your mindset says, I can't do that, or I'm not smart enough, or I have a horrible memory, or fill in the blank, you're still going to be stuck in that box, because all behavior is belief driven. Your self-talk, your brain is like a supercomputer, and your self-talk is a program it will run. So if you tell yourself, I'm not good at remembering names or languages or whatever, you won't remember because you programmed a supercomputer not to. So that's mindset. Now, in the mindset section of the book, I debunk the 7 big lies that are in your mind that keep you from learning. And I tell you the truth, and I show you how to, a process called unlimiting. Unlimiting is the active removal of limits in your life. All right. And so some of those lies that are in there, like we use 10% of our brain, knowledge is power, intelligence is fixed, genius is born. You have to unravel those. Otherwise, how are you going to learn to be a genius if you think that you're either born with it or not, or that your intelligence is fixed, right? The second M, besides mindset, the second M is motivation. Motivation. All right. Now, we already talked about motivation. We gave you the formula for motivation, which is what? P times E times S3. Feel the purpose, harness the energy, and we talk about it in Super Brain Quest, right? The best brain foods. Do you remember the brain foods? How to optimize your sleep, right? How to lower stress, how to treat energy vampires, all the things that could steal energy, and then finally a small simple step. So that's the formula for motivation. And finally, the third part are the methods. the methods, the methodology. Now watch this. S3 is small, simple step. So P times E times S3, small, 3 S's, small, simple steps. Now, here's the magic as you're drawing this out. Where mindset crosses over with motivation, you have, I'm gonna give you 3 I's, inspiration. Inspiration, meaning that, yeah, if you're in the beginning or finish the question, it doesn't matter. This is fundamental to learning and fundamental to life. When mindset crosses over with motivation, you have inspiration. Now, there are mindset books, a great book called Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck. I highly recommend it. There are mindset experts. There are motivational books. There are motivational speakers. Where they cross over, you have inspiration because it changes the way you look at something, your mindset, and it gives you some energy, some motivation. But you still don't do anything because you don't have the methods, right? You're inspired, but you don't know what to do. Now, the mindset, the inspiration, you have inspirational speakers, you have inspirational books, you have inspirational movies, right? Now, where mindset crosses over with methods, you believe it's possible, your mindset is limitless, right? Because you read the book, you know, you unlimited all your negative beliefs. Mindset. And you have the methods. So you know all the great methods of reading faster and remembering and doing all this stuff. Or it could be marketing, sales methods, any kind of methods, right? Health and wellness, wild fit methods, all this stuff, right? But you're not going to do anything because what circle are you missing? Motivation. So where mindset crosses over with methods, that's ideation. Ideation just stays an idea. And you don't want them because you're lacking the motivation. And finally, where motivation crosses over with methods, you're motivated, you have purpose, you have energy, you know what to do, the methods to speed read, to learn languages, to all this stuff that you're going to learn in the quest. But you're still going to be stuck in that box because you're only going to be able to learn or create something that you believe is possible in your mindset, or what you believe you deserve, or what you believe you're capable of. All right. Now, where all of them come together, and I'll show this to you, where they all come together as one, you have the next thing, which is, let me show you real quick. Where it all comes together here, if you could see this, this is mindset, methods, motivation. You see ideation, inspiration, implementation. Where they all collide in the middle, you have the 4th I, which is integration. Integration. Integration, like integer or integral, means you're whole. And that's integrated. That's just who you are. And that is the limitless state. Wow. Exclusive. Yeah, this is amazing. So that's the limitless model that you just, I hope everyone drew that out, because it's just 3 circles, but 3 I's and 3 M's and 3 I's, and that 4th I, which is integration. That's the goal. And what this framework allows you to do, remember, it's not just a framework for learning faster. It's an explanatory schema for when you're stuck. So you could take the judgment and the self-criticism, leave that away from you, and just saying, hey, I'm not making progress in my career or in my contribution or in my relationship or in my health. Where is my limit? Is it in my mindset? Do I not believe it's possible? Or do I not believe I'm capable of it? Or do I not believe I deserve it? Or is it in my motivation? Am I not feeling the purpose? Am I not giving myself enough energy? Am I not prioritizing sleep and eating the best foods and stress management? Or am I not breaking it down to small enough steps? What is the smallest, tiniest action I could take to give me progress towards this goal where I can't fail? Or am I using old methods of staying fit, old methods of eating right, old methods of dating, old methods of marketing, old methods of learning or reading or memorizing, memorization, or repeating things over and over again, or saying the words to yourself while you read, or backskipping, regressing, all these bad habits we picked up. And so maybe this is my message for all of you. This is like a super brain army here. We're going to go change the world. You change your brain, you change your world, you change our world, right? And here's the thing. Remember this. Like right now, we're living in a different time, right? And so we really have to really master the most important force in the world, which is our mind. What I'm suggesting to you is this. Do not downgrade your dreams. Everybody is, with everything going on, they're like, oh my God, I'm going to read, I got to shrink everything that I was hoping for, this year and everything else. Do not do that. Hold the line. Don't downgrade your dreams to meet this current situation. Upgrade your mindset, your motivation, and your methods to meet your destiny. All right. You have this power, right? You just have to, that's the quote in the book from Glinda. It's like, you've had this power the whole, remember the Dorothy and Wizard of Oz? And then the Good Witch says at the end, like, you've had the power the entire time. You just had to learn it yourself. And that's really the message of Superbrain. That's really the message of becoming limitless, and that you have the power, that these difficult times, they could define you, they could diminish you, or they could develop you. You decide every single day with the little choices that you make. And remember who you are. Yes, remember who you are. That was also in Lion King also as well. But my friend, United Ground, I love this community so much. And I want to congratulate you for just starting this program. And we're all on this quest to be able to realize and reveal our fullest potential and express it in the biggest way. And when I want you using parts of your brain that you just never even imagined. And I'm so excited for you, because I wish, part of me, when you just you wish you could forget a movie, especially me, because I don't forget a lot of stuff. So you wish you could forget a movie or forget a book so you could reread it or rewatch it. I wish I could go through this quest. I wish I would have gone through it, because I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, US dollars, on learning everything that I've learned. I've spent 3 decades, 28 years. This is just part of my library. You don't even want to know how many books that I've read. I put it all in Superbrain or in this book. And then you could download decades into 30 days or in a week or whatever. That, like, you don't have to go through the mistakes that I did, and so I love you guys so much. You have no idea. You know why? And I don't just say this. It's because you allow me to do my purpose. I believe passion, I talk about this in the book, passion is what lights you up. And you can have lots of passions, right? Lots of things that light you up. But your purpose is what lights other people up. So my passion is learning, because I wasn't a good learner back in school. My passion is learning, and it lights me up. And my purpose is teaching other people how to learn so they can light themselves up, right? You give a person an idea and you enrich their life. You teach a person how to learn and they can enrich their own life and the lives of so many other people. And that's the journey that we're on together. So I want to thank you for allowing me to meet my dharma, my spiritual calling, my mission here, by allowing me to be able to help that little boy that I was, that I would work really hard. My parents, immigrated to this country. My dad was 13 years old. Both his parents died when he was 13. I don't usually talk about this, definitely not in the book. They couldn't afford to feed him. He came to US to live with an aunt. We grew up, didn't speak the language, had no money, had no education. We lived in the back of a laundromat that my mother worked at because she had many, many jobs. So that's my great aunt, who I only looked at as a grandmother, because that's all I knew was my primary caregiver. And when I was going through all my learning challenges, when we traumatic brain injury and called labels and bullied, my grandmother, was there always for me. But then she had dementia, and I started losing her. She started losing her memory, started calling me by different names, saying things that she just said to me. And it's just hard when people lose their memories, like their humanity. And I watched that. So all that shaped who I am today. And I do believe you could take your mess and make it your message. That your struggles could lead to your strengths. The people you hear, like people going through trauma, right, even right now, and you remember, you inspire people with your grit and your grace. The people that are watching. And so I just want to applaud you, because I know life is not easy. And it's just, maybe our prayer is not for it to be easier. Maybe it's for us to be better. And I applaud you for investing in this quest or in this book or any other areas you do that for, because you're the few who do versus the many who just talk and complain about things. And that makes nothing better for anybody. So that's how much I love you guys, because you light this up. And my only ask is that, you share what you learn with other people. Just share it freely, because when you teach it, it'll come back to you also.
Amazing, Jim. Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you can order the book Limitless.
Yeah, make sure you do it at limitlessbook.com so you get those free gifts. the free chapters, the free 10-day program. You know, it's not as deep as the 10-day program is not nowhere near as deep as Superbrain, but it gives you an overview. It'll touch on some things that Superbrain doesn't touch on, and it's my gift to you. And we'll have a book club, so hopefully I get to see you in book club this coming month. I can't believe it's May already.
I know, right?
Yes. Thank you, everybody. I wish your days be full. And like, by the way, can we have Austin a hand also for hosting this and putting this together? Can we just say thank you, Austin? Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you, A. You're amazing. And I remember you heard me say this, but your life is like an egg. That if an egg is broken by an outside force, life ends. But if it's broken by an inside force, life begins. Great things begin on the inside, and you have greatness inside of you. Don't let anybody take that away from you. All right, you have greatness inside of you. You have genius inside of you, and this quest will help you show people really what's possible and be that example. The life you live are the lessons you teach. Be limitless, everybody. Be super.
Incredible, Jim. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
All right, see you soon.